Hey, it's the 20th anniversary of Kid A, my favorite album of all times. Yes! Hey guys, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite albums. And today, right now, my brother's friend is in my apartment. And in order to convince him that I'm not a schizo, I'm gonna be slightly more quiet, though it's completely futile. And today I'm going to do a review on the latest Joji album, Nectar. So, Joji, Aussie Japanese guy, George Miller, formerly known as Pink Guy, the viral YouTube sensation, turned into a musician as Joji, and now have returned in the year 2020 with a Nectar. And actually, before this, he dropped his debut album, which is Ballads 1, which I also did a review on, a very quick review on, and I thought it's just okay. It's actually kind of mediocre because there are a lot of songs on Ballads 1 that are very underwritten, underproduced, a little underwhelming, not really all that great. Anyways, Joji has returned with Nectar, and I think this time he's improved. He's improved. The vocal melodies on this album are slightly more affectious and sweet, and the production is even more bold and ambitious and beautiful and lush on this album as well. And while still there are multiple tracks on Nectar that I find kind of underwritten and underwhelming, I think this is so far the best work Joji had ever put out. I mean, he's only put out 2 albums, but still, an improvement nonetheless. However, I also think that there's a lot of fat to be trimmed on this album. This album is 18 tracks long and it runs at around 54 minutes long. And almost every single track on this album are moody ballads that are begging to be slowed down and reverbed. And I just think that there are a few redundant tracks here and there on the track list. So starting off, we have the track U with its moody, runny pianos and the very odd processed vocals that don't quite fit with the rest of the instrumentals. We also have really nice lush strings, but then we have the very basic beats and the basic vocal melodies, which kind of failed to move me any way possible. And the second track, Modus, is actually a little bit more exciting and a little bit more focused lyrically and musically. We get these lush strings again, which are very well utilized, as well as a nice tickety beat. The track TikTok has a nice boomy beat, nice boomy drum beat, but the rest of the track is just meh. It just feels kind of mediocre. The deep pitched vocals is a little bit head scratching. And then we have Daylight featuring Diplo, another highlight on the album for me. I actually really like this track. I like the vintage groove. I like the chorus. The production is way thicker than many other tracks on this album, and it sounds really complete. It sounds really whole and harmonious, and it's really beautiful. And then again, we dive down again with the track Upgrade, which just sounds like a stripped back interlude with some scant vocals, and it's kind of forgettable. And then we have the track Gimme Love, which I'm also not a huge fan of, in that I like the lush production, especially for the outro of the track, which is incredibly beautiful. However, the hook, it's a little lackluster. Gimme love, gimme love, gimme love, gimme love. It's I'm fine with Joji having some fun with music, but this track is nowhere as fun as it could have been. Anyways, we have the track Run, which is easily my favorite track off of the entire album. Amazing song. I love the incredibly dramatic and moving vocal melodies, and the smoky guitars are an amazing addition to this track. And they're also really rare on this album, so don't take it for granted. And then we have Sanctuary, which is also a really good track, even though the vocal melodies are kind of simple and sincere. You know, your usual lovey-dovey piece of art pop. I also like the bubbling pianos and the very forlorn vocal melodies. And it's another one of the highlights on the album for me. Next, we have the track High Hopes featuring Omar Apollo, and it's actually a really slow and downtrodden song. The vocals are very underperformed, especially with Omar Apollo doing a bit of a Frank Ocean impression on the track. The beat is clunky, and I don't mind that at all, but the clunky beat does not really match with the instrumentals, nor the vocals, nor the tone or the vibe of the track at all, and it just sounds kind of awkward in a way. The track NITROUS is a very miniature, very tiny song. Not tiny in length, but production-wise and instrumentally, it feels very minuscule. And the beat feels cheap, the vocals are meh, and the chord progression sounds very similar to many other tracks on the album. And then we have Pretty Boy featuring Lil Yachty, and even though at first I'm not a huge fan of it, it grew on me a lot. I think it's a really small but sweet and endearing song with some really interesting, wacky production choices, like these lo-fi bass boosted effects and also these vocal yelps that just made the track very noisy. And Lil Yachty's performance is actually not bad. I didn't think I would say this, but he's actually not bad in this track. He's kind of fun. Next up, we have the track Normal People, and it's very low-key. The performances are low-key. The beat is very low-key as well. We get these simple pianos, and it's overall kind of a forgettable track. And then we have Afterthought featuring Benny, which is actually so much more well written and so much more catchy than I've expected. I love the ticketed beat, and I think the feature is actually pretty good. And we also have the track Mr.Hollywood, produced by Kenny Beats, and it's a pretty nice track as well. I love the production of this track, the forlorn pianos, the slight trap beat of the track, the harmonious vocals all come together to sound very bold and very beautiful and harmonious. Next up, we have 777, which has a peppy beat, some 80s synths. However, it's not as focused or as well produced or well written at all. And the track Reanimator featuring Eve Toomer is kind of a disappointment, even though I expect a lot out of Eve Toomer, given that he had just come out with one of the better albums this year. And this track is 4 minutes long, and the first 2.5 minutes is this huge, noisy, drony piece. While I don't mind the drony piece itself, it builds up to nothing. It just builds up to nothing. Nothing happens after the build-up. What happens? At the end, it's just this quiet beat, and then suddenly something danceable and groovy starts to take place, and the song ends. Okay. Anyways, the last two tracks are not bad at all. We have the track Like You Do, which is a pretty simplistic piano ballad, but the way it's very concentrated makes it very pretty and gorgeous in my opinion. And the album ending Your Man has a really fast beat, as well as a sweet, hopeful final instrumental, which is really nice, and it's a bit of a feel-good moment for the album, as well as a very righteous, triumphant ending for the album, which is really nice. So yeah. I think I like a good bit of songs on this album, and even though there is a lot of fat on this album to be trimmed, I still think there's a lot of potential on this album that are unrealized and could be so much more better explored. Still, shout out to Joji for being a cool dude and cool singer. My favorite track here is Run, and my least favorite is Nitrous. I am giving Joji's Nectar a strong 6 out of 10. So, if you listened to the latest Joji album from 1 to 10, how much is you rate it? Like it, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. I will have a haircut tomorrow. I swear. I can't bear looking at myself anymore. Holy shit. But also, I will be reviewing the new Sprain, Lil Tecca, Machine Gun Kelly, Deftones, Sufjan Stevens, and Clipping and Sevdaliza very soon. Yes!